Western Sahara,
Many people don't know it exists.
along with a history full of conflict attached to that recognition, which started in 1884 when Spain colonised Western Sahara. Until in 1973, the Polisario was formed. In 1974, in a fight for independence, they along with the UN forced Spain's decolonialisation. In 1975, the court ruled 74,000 Sahrawis eligible to vote for independence. As this was announced, the King of Morocco ordered 300,000 civilians to march into Western Sahara in an event known as the Green March. Later that year, Spain responded with an agreed split between Morocco and Mauritania, following Spain's withdrawal from Western Sahara. The indigenous Sahrawi people were not included in these talks. So, in response, the Polisario Front, in unity with the Sahrawi people, announced the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, also known as the SADR, which was based on occupying the full extent of Western Sahara. So a war broke out between the Algeria-backed Polisario Front and both Mauritania and Morocco for their occupied zones. But in 1979, Mauritania withdrew from the conflict, so Morocco made advancements, pushing out the Sahrawi people, forcing their full exile into Algeria to start a new life out of their homeland. I'm joining a group from Sandblast, a charity that support education in the camps, through an after-school club called Desert Voice Box, teaching English and music, along with spreading awareness and empowering the heroes of the camps, the Sahrawi women. We'll be spending a week with the Sahrawi people, understanding the beauty in their culture,
Whilst exploring where we can help their situation moving forward.
As we approached the camps, I was taken aback at how vast they were. The camps are known as Walaya. There are 5 Walayas in total. We're travelling in from Tindouf, Algeria, to our Walaya, Samara. Each Walaya is split into 6 or 7 dairas. These dairas are split into 4 small neighbourhoods called hays. Each daira can have a population of between 2,000 and 4,000 Sahrawi people. Each daira has a primary school for up to 11 years, a health clinic, and an administration building. After 20 hours of travel, we'd made it to our home for the next week. Quickly welcomed with a ride on a desert taxi. After the bumpy ride, it was time to meet our host, Mohammed. We all headed into our homes away from home. Once we arrived, we all spent some time getting to know our host Mohammed. We gave Mohammed and his wife Mafuda different items that had been mentioned to be low in supply within the camps. So we just had local tea with our host Mohammed, and now we're going to head to a local library. We checked out the local shop, which was an eye-opener to the price of imported goods. A packet of biscuits came to the equivalent of 40 Great British pounds. We were welcomed into the library by Najla, who leads the Al Masar Library, sharing some of their key focuses. The first focus is spreading breast cancer awareness, as there is currently a low survival rate within the camps. This service has currently helped 150 Sahrawi women. This is the only service across all 5 walayas. The second is sustainability, helping 100 Sahrawis from seed banks, and promoting water harvesting. However, due to a lack of water, teaching is not possible at the moment. Najla then explained the importance of understanding the construction in the camps. There are some periods of flooding in the camps, causing foundations to wash away. They use tire foundations to counteract this. And with high winds and no traditional fixings, they use rocks to keep the roofs fixed. After Najla gave us some early insight into life in the camps, we headed back to Mohammed's for some lunch. But we got slightly distracted on the way. Our first meal at Mohammed's was just what we needed, followed by some football on the TV, a luxury that only the most wealthy have in the camps. Whilst waiting to be collected to go get our race bibs, Paddy gave us an insight into some combat.
Being like this, in this position, you know, you just have to, with Chris, you just have to get him as far as possible.
Otherwise, it ends like this.
Oh.
After our quick training camp, we headed to get our race bibs. At this point, the anticipation for the marathon was definitely building.
Numbers collected.
That afternoon, the whole group had been invited for tea at Fatima's home, one of the Sandblast hosts. It was amazing how she welcomed all 20 of us into her home. In the Wilayas, the Saharawi people speak Hassaniya, a form of Arabic. We're all intrigued to learn some of the local dialect, so our translators Mansoura and Layla were showing us some of the basic forms of the language. A discussion, of course, fueled by tea. However, the boys had promised Mohammed we'd have tea with him that evening, so we headed back. It's made with love and passion. Yeah. The camp's news channel was always on the TV, so we looked out for who we could recognise. When you drink the tea or share a meal, everyone comes to sit on the floor. A historic tradition that brings out some of the best social moments. And of course, in less than a day of knowing each other, we've already asked the big question. What's the biggest animal you could take on? After a frantic rush out the house, we waited for the buses, which would be taking us to a variety of projects across the camps. Whilst waiting, we visited a local craft shop. It's amazing what the local Saharawi people can do with such little resources. We were waiting for 2 hours, but it never felt like waiting. There were so many amazing conversations to have amongst the team. On the route, the amount of barren landscapes was inordinate. The centre provides women with training for 2 years. This is Jessica, who has been working with other universities to provide support for the centre. This centre is the biggest of its kind amongst the camps. The Saharawi women are the foundation of the camps. With the men often working or serving the Polisario, the women take on a lot of the responsibilities. And with that knowledge, it was great to see the centre fostering the next generation of Saharawi women. What most caught my attention was their media class. Learning from capturing video to editing, enabling the younger Saharawi generation to capture and spread awareness from their direct perspectives, empowering them to become the narrators of their own story. We then headed over to the ceramic centre. This is what they've done for a while now, and this is, I think, came before the education centre. So they do a lot of ceramics, creating all of the different sort of traditional pieces within the homes, and also it's a great way to create things educationally. Also, all of the Sahara map and medals have been made here and then painted here, so very important place within the culture.
It's better than Red Bull.
Yeah?
It's not better than Mohammed Sido.
You're trying to sell it?
I am selling it.
We planted trees in memory of a German and Ugandan man who had both supported the Saharawi communities. This project is directed by Fatimatu, another example of the brilliance of the Saharawi woman.
Called Western Sahara Support Group. We've known this woman for 20 years. She was like this. Now she's the director of this project. It was Fatimalu's idea. They do all the work, they maintain the site, they harvest the food, they distribute it. We give a helping hand, that's all we do. It's their project, they tell us what they want us to do. Grown Hope provides cheap, good quality vegetables and healthy food for the local population. It's been growing in this camp for 5 years here in Lyoun. It's as big as about 3-4 football pitches. They grow onions, tomatoes, coriander, parsley, cucumbers, radish. The plan now is to plant 500 trees to create a bit of a biodiverse area. They've dug their own well out, which cost £15,000. They've built a reservoir to get the salination down, and it employs 5 local people.
Wow. For the people who are maintaining this place, they plant grass either side of the crop, so that when the wind comes it protects them so they can grow without any damage from the wind. Got some veg. I wanted to just donate, but I managed to get some veg as well. After returning from the trip, we headed to Mohammed's for some food, which can only mean one thing.
Grand Can. It's chip butty in a
Bang
baguette.
one there, Dad.
Where are we again?
Bit of ketchup in the Sahara. Shout out to Victoria. Tomato-y ketchup. It's thick and juicy.
There was never a dull moment at Mohammed's.
You squat, you have to. Why was that like this? Because your back. You don't want to crack on your back. Your back, yeah, you have to be careful. So you want to put the weight on your.
This is maybe 5 kilograms.
We headed to the race briefing, where soon enough some of us had collected quite the crowd. For the children, there's not a lot to do in the camps, so seeing visitors brought them a lot of joy. We made it to the race briefing, but I had to rush home because I think I have food poisoning, which isn't good. Under 24 hours before the race. Let's just hope Imodium does its job tomorrow. That's all I've got. That's the banker. So I spent some time getting to know Mohammed a bit better. He also explained the importance of Islam among the camps. So this is how you learn your English?
Yes.
Soon enough the others returned, and the marathon prep began. Mohammed was amazed by some of our gear.
Patrick, you run with this?
Yeah.
It's very easy to drink when you.
It goes inside this. And then the straw comes out. You go on your back.
I'm just gonna be like.
In return, Mohammed showed us his outfit for special occasions.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam. Assalam. Alaikum. Alaikum. Marhaban.
Alaikum.
Marhaban.
Marhaban.
Bikum.
Bikum.
Fi.
Fi.
Asara.
Asara.
Marathon.
Marathon.
Hey.
I'm gonna run at you, yeah?
That morning, the nerves had set in. We were all making our last preparations before the marathon. So look out for that video in the coming month to see how we all got on.
One
Marathon.
later.
Guys,
He needs that, he can't walk on them.
I told Mohammed next year we stay here.
Yeah.
We stay here.
Yeah.
Mohammed running it next year.
You're gonna run. You're gonna run next year.
With you?
Yeah.
Aye.
For you. Maybe I will run 5 kilometers and go to
Yeah.
the
Then
ambulance.
drive.
And go to the ambulance. Please take me home.
You drive and you play.
I'm lost.
on the radio.
Mohammed, are you proud of us? Are you proud of us?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look,
Bit of a tan like. Look at that. So Mohammed just said he has a sauna. So perfect for after the marathon. This is another example of facilities only available to the wealthier within the camps. Most of the families struggle with facilities to wash themselves. Myself and the boys didn't want to use up too much water by taking a shower, so this was a better alternative to wash ourselves after the marathon. And a more social way, debriefing on all the events of the marathon. After cleaning, we spent time with Mohammed and his daughter Zaina.
She puts her head down, she's like.
She's tired.
That evening, Danielle and Kerry joined us for our meal, where we exchanged many stories and laughter. Then there was a substitution when a group from the neighbouring host house came round for some of Mohammed's famous tea. We had a big day ahead. We were visiting the school that Sandblast directly supported. As we arrived, we were all met with a beautiful mural that had recently been painted for the Desert Voice box. I didn't want to film in a lot of the classrooms, but every single one they greeted us with a song. I was amazed by these models, just showing the skill of these children. It was hard to understand how this kitchen can serve around 100 children. Everyone was then quickly invited for a performance from the Desert Voice Box students. This is the traditional female Saharawi dance, an expression of their culture being shared with such confidence for such a young age.
Drowning in charity that has set up an after-school program to teach English and music to the Saharawi children from the age of 8 to 12, 4 years. And the song that you heard just previously in English are all the words of the kids. They created this song at the beginning of this year, or last year I should say.
We then headed to the media centre, where they develop their students in cinematography, editing, narration, and even do podcasts.
Filmmakers can work with the TV station, so then they do reports for them and so on.
Is that Raz TV?
And then, yeah, Raz TV.
Raz TV is the radio television station that's used amongst the camps, which is so important for the Sahrawi people, for the hope of political updates or events that are happening in the camps.
And then they broadcast. So it's nice, like they have somewhere to go after this, and then also they can choose to train the next generation.
Yeah, I was going to say that's like the perfect link to try and upskill them through their own channels.
And they need the skills, and they need a job.
Yeah, exactly.
So beautiful marriage, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're in the sort of cinema film school, and they've got a podcast room, which is just sort of crazy to think. All of the equipment's very good quality, and they've got a lot of infrastructure in place, so it's something that they're clearly putting a lot of time into, which is so important to allow them to create exposure and spread awareness of the problem. 5 minutes after sitting down, I realised I'd sat myself on a spot perfect for an interview from the Algerian media team.
I think it's hard to understand because it's so far removed from sort of Western society and how it is in Europe. So it's been definitely interesting to understand the culture, and it's definitely very inviting and welcoming. So it's I tried to not build too much before because I like to see it as I experience it. So yeah, I mean, I've been amazed at how welcoming and friendly the culture is, and so social, especially around the sort of the home and the tea, and it's been amazing to experience.
After my media appearance, we split into groups to go into the homes of the teachers from Desert Voice Box. This is where aid is delivered from the World Food Programme. We were invited into the administrator of Desert Voice Box House, Taqueen.
Very nice.
And yet another example of the Sahrawi hospitality. So, through the summer, when it's hotter, families tend to spend the day in a sort of shelter like this where it's metal, and then in the night they'll be in their concrete and sort of cinder block style building to make sure they don't overheat. Before heading to Desert Voice Box, we spent some time playing football with the kids that were waiting outside the school. It was great to see the joy from the kids playing football. It made me feel like I was back at school again. We first visited their music lesson, which enabled them to express themselves through their singing and dance, which are core elements of their culture. As a cultural exchange, we got Rowan and Paddy to do an Irish dance. I'll let you take a guess on who used to teach Irish dancing. We then finished up our visit at their English lesson.
To the Desert Voice Box, and it's so surreal how the kids can use the English they're learning and the songs to express themselves. Like, they were singing some of the songs they've created themselves, and honestly, I didn't want to film it because it was just so moving, like so powerful that they've been given this expression. Yeah, everyone's so overwhelmed at the talent they have and the enthusiasm. I mean, you can see it over here, like they all love it. They all can't wait to go to the voice box, and it's amazing that Sandblast have been able to provide this for them. Yeah, I'm still a bit emotional, if I'm honest.
Before we headed back to Sahara camp, we had a bit of fun playing some games with the kids.
Ready? Ready? Oh!
Just before we left, Kerry gave another example of the excellence of these children.
To explore a bit about how water is used in the camps by asking their grandparents and just really trying to be their own little investigative reporters. And we're so happy that they really took the reins. And Bashir, Mohammed Bashir, who is one of the kindest boys in our level 4 program, he just brought in his final project. 5 steps that it takes for them to get watered in the camps.
The water of the camps is supplied by the UN into these bags, but people can be waiting up to months to receive any.
We'll bring this in without us even having to ask him twice, and he'll just take it.
It's like an expression, isn't it?
Yeah, he was just almost mute. He just, he was like just in the corner, completely being invisible. Yeah. And it's just like adding a little bit of water, and he's just been blossoming and blossoming.
Amazing.
And I mean, with this exchange program, it's been quite nice because it's kind of given them a reason to share aspects of their life. And I think this is just an incredible example.
It's projects like these that are sort of pivotal for people who are struggling with bullying and things to find an expression and
he feels like he's recognized and he can really share this with us.
We headed back to the camp just in time for the marathon award ceremony, which was yet another example of the togetherness of the Saharawi people. The sun was setting, we were all celebrating feats of human endurance. Surely this couldn't get any better. I was wrong. Hanny Mayer was the second fastest woman to run the 2025 Sahara Marathon. Absolute superwoman. And of course followed up with an interview by the Algerian media. It must be the day for it. After the awards had wrapped up, we trekked back to Mohammed's to find out he had tried to find us at the award ceremony.
Yes, I hear the music, national music. They think the celebration is over.
Lots of people.
Mafuda then gave us all some goodie bags, which was very generous.
Thank you.
So we wanted to know how Mafuda had found having 6 energetic guys in her house.
Busy. Okay. So prepare yourself, Mohammed. 6 more to go for you. That's gonna.
You're just eating a bone.
I'm not eating it. I'm only like testing it.
Why?
I'm testing its limits. Look. Bones. Breakable. Mohammed, see what I'm capable of.
But why? Go on, mate, get up. It was safe to say the fatigue and aching had really set in. Go on. It was a slower morning. Everyone was in a really good mood. Songs were blaring, everyone was singing. The sun was out. Of course, we're in the desert. It was a day of celebration for the founding of the SADR. So we headed to the celebratory parade. Before we joined the celebration, we wanted to wear some of the traditional Saharawi clothing.
You look so good.
It was great to see that every age got involved with the celebrations. You could see the pride in their independence from every single person in the parade, continuing the mission of their ancestors, passed down generation to generation. After a couple of hours at the parade, we headed to Castro Center. Castro agreed to take us on a very fast-paced tour around the centre.
It's kind of like your philosophy, Sam. Don't live your life just lying around in one position. Change your position all the time. See things from different perspectives.
He made sure to document every stage of building the centre into what it is today, something everyone can take precedent in.
His objectives here is education, integration, and autonomy.
One of the aims in the centre is to teach neurodivergent kids within the camp. And as you can see, Castro is very passionate about this. Castro shows the children day-to-day jobs like brushing your teeth or combing your hair to make sure they're ready for growing up in life.
Tanya, te levantas así, no. Siempre te sientes a nivel de niño,
Castro runs a pharmacy out of the centre, taking one-to-one consultations. He doesn't charge for any of the services, or the medicines. Castro ended the tour with a library, for the children, but also opens up some days to the public. Then finally he let us buy some of the work that the children have been doing, with some quotes he had written about life. Yet another inspirational character amongst the Saharawi people. We headed back to Mohammed's for some lunch. On the way back, a man pulled over to show us his pet lizard.
Yeah, because one of my mates is French and he always says that.
We all chilled out at our neighbouring host house before heading back out to the celebrations. The mood was high as we headed back out to the celebrations.
Copyright music.
The area of celebration was bustling with life. It was great to see everyone had come to celebrate. Each tent represents an individual daira. They had different tools on display, for collecting water, saddles, or even their traditional clothing. There were different performances in each of the tents, with a wide variety of their traditional music. There were so many beautiful moments happening everywhere. You could feel the importance of the day to everyone. Earlier in the trip, Danielle mentioned we should sing a song from the UK, as Sandblast are a UK-based charity. So we're thinking of the classics, Valerie, Champagne Supernova, Wonderwall, but none of them quite fit the spot. Until we finally settled on Angels by Robbie Williams. So before our blockbuster performance, the celebrations continued. The atmosphere for every performance was amazing. Everyone was getting behind each performance. Some of the marathon runners shared their performance of Let It Be with the local Saharawi children, which was a beautiful moment, putting on the pressure for the Sandblast team to step up. But Mohammed arrived just in time to be our biggest supporter. It was time, our moment to represent the UK.
We're ready.
Hello, Mohammed. Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. We are a group of English-speaking runners representing the UK-based charity Sandblast.
What a moment, to be joined on stage by some of the best people you'll ever meet, singing to a crowd of Saharawi people that don't know the song but are supporting us like it's their favourite. To top it off, we return to a proud Mohammed. We headed back to Mohammed's for our penultimate evening. It was always wholesome to see the love that Mohammed has for Zaina. This video encapsulates the time in Mohammed's house perfectly. Then we wrapped up the day with a game of sweet catching.
Wow.
It was the last day in camp, a very sad realisation.
Everyone's in the shirts.
We were spending the last day in the sand dunes, a chance to understand some traditional cooking methods. But before it was time for food, we had some free time. That can only mean one thing: a race down the dunes. Strong wind from Callum with a truly innovative style. Everyone was knackered, so I headed off to do some exploring. It was a great time to just sit and reflect and take in everything that had happened over the past week. But I was soon interrupted by the army because I'd gone too far. A great example to show, despite it's in the desert, these areas are still heavily patrolled by the army. I managed to get back just in time for lunch, where we were all going to be treated with traditional bread. Luckily, Chris and Paddy were on hand for some lunchtime entertainment.
Round 2. Fight!
Sadly, another loss for Paddy. They cooked the bread under the sand with a mix of the hot coals to create a desert oven. I was in shock to see how quickly the bread cooked. The wind started to pick up into a small sandstorm, so we all took cover in the bus. The bread was absolutely unreal. I'd just like to note this bus was moving. We had to abandon the cooking on the bus, so we resumed the meal back at camp. It was our last chance to eat traditionally as a full group.
Charlie boy.
Alright, mate.
Yes, it's okay if you
What are you doing, Ian?
Enjoy. Yeah, I've already done. Followed by our first goodbye, Danielle, the founder of Sandblast and the hero that makes it all happen. It had come to our final evening, but what better way to spend it than in true Saharawi fashion, together.
Bye, Sam.
It was a very quiet morning. Everyone knew the goodbye was round the corner. We spent what time we could together, but it passed very quickly.
See you next year, you look after yourself, yeah?
My brother. My brother. Thank you. Thank you.
Right, thanks for
See you next
really
year.
appreciate it.
Yeah, we have 10 minutes.
It's the hardest goodbye I can remember doing. Even harder when you know you're only one of the few people that understand their problem in the world.
I'm loving angels instead.